Now if you get an email that has one or more attachments, I'm going to show you how to save it outside of your email, like to your desktop, so you can work independently of the email here. For example, I've got an email with an attachment. How do I know? Well, there's a paperclip, and metaphorically speaking, somebody paperclipped to this email or attached to the email some documents or images. Go ahead and double click to open up the email, and you can see up at the top there's the message, and then here are the attachments. We have an image, we have a document, and an Excel workbook. Now before I show you how to save these to your computer so you can work independently of these files outside of the email here, I want you to notice that over here, when I hover at the top of each response section, that to the right of it, it has some buttons. It has next and previous. When I click on previous, it's going to take me down to the previous response down here. Watch what happens. Previous, it jumps right down to it, doesn't it? Of course, the scroll bar, I can scroll up and down, but these buttons might be a little bit faster because it takes me to the next section here. And I can get all the way down to the bottom and go, well, what was the last response? When I click on last, it takes me right up to the top because that was the last response. So instead of scrolling, you can actually just hover up at the top of each response section and use those buttons to navigate in between each section. Okay, moving along, I want to be able to view or preview what these attachments are before I actually open them up or save them. So right now I'm previewing the message. That's by default. If I come over here and click on the image, it previews the image. It gets rid of the message or it just hides it. I can go to the document, and by default some of the files that are attached Microsoft Outlook doesn't trust. It wants you to be the one that decides whether or not we should trust this file. If we do trust it, then click on Preview. Down below it previews what's in the file. Come over here to Excel, click Preview, and right here it's a pie chart. Now if I want to go back to the message view, just click on Message and we're back to square one. Okay, now there's a couple of ways that I can take these attachments and move them to my desktop or save them to my desktop so I can work on it independently from my email here. One way, which is a little bit tedious, is to click on the Restore button here so it restores down so it doesn't fill up the whole screen, and then minimize the Microsoft Outlook window here so all I have is my email message here and I can see part of the desktop. Then what I can do is I can click and drag the image and dump it on my desktop. That's one way of doing it, clicking and dragging, okay? I'm going to go ahead and right click on that and delete it. Now what it did is it created the copy. It didn't actually move it over, did it? Another thing you can do is you can double click and open up the image or attachment, and then in this case for the image I can click on File and say Make a Copy, and then click on the Browse Folder drop down arrow so I can see where I'm going to dump this image. It's going to be on the desktop, and the default name here is Learning 2. In other words, the name here is Learning, but because it's creating a copy of it, it wants to add the number 2 to it. Well, we can change it and type whatever we want. And then click Save, close out, and then on my desktop there he is, okay? I'm going to go ahead and right click and delete him and throw him over here to the garbage can. So you can click and drag, you can open up and then do a Save As and save it to your desktop. Or the other thing you can do is, let me maximize this. In the email itself, come up and click on the Office logo button, go down to Save As, and click on Save Attachments. Now this could be very beneficial, especially if you have like 50 pictures. I mean, can you imagine double clicking and opening each picture up to then go ahead and save it to your desktop, or clicking and dragging? This will save you so much more time. Click on Save Attachments, and then what it'll do is it'll list all the attachments in your email here. Now if you click OK, it's going to go ahead and say, okay, where do you want to dump these or copy these over to? Now if you don't want all of them, you can just click on one, say I just want this one, or using your Control key, click and select others, or click on one, hold down the Shift key and click on the last one, and it'll select everything in between. So I got all of them selected. If I click OK, then I just need to go ahead and say, well, I want it on my desktop. In other words, browse to the place you want to dump these to, and down below it says the folder name is desktop. Do you want it there? Yes. Click OK, and you're done. How do I know? Well, if I click minimize, all three of them are right there. You see, that's so much faster than trying to click and drag or copy them one at a time by using the Save Attachments feature under the Save As option here. Thanks for watching. Hey, as a quick reminder, if you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. You can also click on me and subscribe to my channel, get notified of the latest videos, and for only $2 a month, you can have access to all my Microsoft Office training videos.